Welcome to the Miami Heat beat postgame show. Coming off a win. It's a second in a row, baby.
Streaking
it. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. And with me today, my GOAT, my friend, the host of the Redacted Pre-Gaming and the co-founder of StreamBeat, Franky G.
What is up? That was a win? Question mark.
That was one of the basketball games of all time.
I've never felt so bad with a win.
I have, but this is up there. Yeah, I want to be happy, Franky.
I do.
They were losing this game for a month, and I just think that we gotta take what we can, and they came up with a win. Chat's asking me to sage the arena for Sunday, guys. I just saged the arena.
We don't need to sage with wins.
We don't. Guys. This is not how this works, guys. Let's be clear. I didn't want to do a regular season sage. We did it because the season was at a point that we were off the rails, and I did what I had to do. Will Manso goes, I didn't realize we were in DEFCON 1. And I go, Will Manso, we were in DEFCON 1. So we're not going back until we're like in the playoffs. Okay. We've done what we had to. We're back on track. They've won a second game. If they beat the Clippers at home on Sunday, we're cooking with fucking butter. Okay.
Oh man.
We're schmooving. But let's not look ahead. Let's talk about the game tonight, because Franky, it was an adventure amongst adventures. Miami had a gajillion turnovers.
Yeah.
And Washington scored a bunch of points off them. Although in totality, Miami, I think in the second half really cleaned up their transition defense. Washington ended up only scoring 107 points per 100 possessions in transition, which is not very good. Miami scored fewer, but that's not the point. The point is that their defense held them to the 28th percentile, and that's good. That's good. In the half court, Franky, Miami, again, pedestrian. Their rebounding really carried them. Shout out to Jimmy for being so active and Bam on that end. But I want to start there because I think their rebounding kind of helped offset all the turnovers they were having, in addition to them fixing their transition defense, because that's really when they went zone and they were rebounding and pushing pace is when that game just took off.
Absolutely. You mentioned Jimmy, 4 offensive rebounds on the night. The team had 14. That's a big offensive rebounding night for the Heat. Getting those second chance hustle points. I felt they kind of relaxed tonight, but the offensive rebounding was definitely something that shows they wanted this. They wanted to keep it going. But man, a lot of the bad habits that picked up during the losing streak were showing tonight, and I'm glad they pulled out the dub. The zone wasn't as sharp. They dared Washington to hit mid-range shots, very wide open mid-range shots, and they didn't get it done. And that kind of sparked a lot of push opportunities for the Heat. They went to a very wing-heavy lineup with Kevin Love at the 5, Hymek, Caleb, and Josh and Jimmy. No guards, just no guards. We're gonna go all wing heavy and Kevin Love and space the floor. That really brought the energy in the second quarter, and I felt like that's where they kind of found their rhythm, especially on the offensive end.
I think that they did not look good until they were kind of getting in transition, other than when they were offensive rebounding. They're just in molasses. And I think it's funny how they went on that big run without Hero and Bam on the floor. I think a lot of that, to your point, was Kevin Love kind of like, obviously the rebounding that he provided was huge, but the outlet passing and all the stuff that we know, and really the bailout shots. I mean, there was one possession where he gets Landry Shamet on him, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that, because it was 15 seconds of Kevin Love dribbling, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel. Chat says I look like a 1992 drug dealer with that weak ass JCPenney chain. Excuse me. This is a gift from my father. Goddamn, bro. Can't catch a fucking break with you guys. Jesus Christ.
There's some love there for you, G.
You insult a man's chain, goddamn, bro.
How does he respond? How does he come back from that?
I really don't. I just kind of take it. Tor says, damn, your father shops at JC. Pretty sure it was given to me at me. I got this when I was. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Shmita says I look like I've been watching too much New Jack City.
That's great.
Bro, I get fucking killed for every fit I wear on the pod. I just stopped. I wanted to look nice. I stopped going black t-shirt and fucking, you know what I mean? I'm trying, I'm trying to look nice, God damn. Can't with fucking vultures. Kevin, Kevin was really good for them. Again, on both ends. Again, 15 seconds of Kevin Love dribbling. There was another play where Caleb Martin was a handoff man and Kevin Love came off of it and shot a 3 at the end of the shot clock. And I was like, I'm not so sure how I feel about this, but it worked.
It went in.
Shout out to Kevin Love. You know what I mean?
No, shout out to Kevin Love. 13 and 10 and 2 in 15 minutes on 5 shots.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Got to the line 4 times, like just highly efficient work. That's why he's been one of the best backup fives. He's been
one of their best players.
Absolutely. But I'm saying one of the best, if not the best backup 5 in the league. He's just been awesome all season. And the losing streak, he kind of had a little. He came back down to earth a little bit, and they definitely missed his prime scoring games here. No, he was incredible. He just juices up just so much of the offense, just the 4 out with him, because then Jimmy gets to be more comfortable inside, helps space the floor, finds his cutters, ball moves more. We talk about the transition game, gets the ball going. Like last game, really felt like the whole team was in on moving the ball, but most of the season it's been Kevin really sparks the ball movement.
Well, I think today they had I think today at some point I think they had like 20 assists for like 25 field goals or something like that. Something pretty high, they had 20, they had 24 assists on the night. And they had
38
field goals. So, that's not a bad ratio for them. Shmita Smolnik says G looks like an undercover cop who says 1 marijuana, please. one crack rock.
Can I get a crack rock?
Yeah, shout out to It's Always Sunny. Frankie, their defense today. So I thought today was an experimental day for Spo. I thought that they went back to man for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they went back to their switching man defense, and it was mixed. A lot of mixed results there. I think it's interesting that they ran it for so many years, and now they look a little bit lost. I think that when they did it against Boston and New York, it was a bit of a wake up call that maybe they should be like doing this more. I don't think that's just something that they can bust out in the playoffs. Like, I think a strength of theirs is that they're so sharp with it all season. Yeah. And I think that they're slowly trying to reincorporate it, along with the drop, along with the zone, which again, the run was a product of the zone, and how good they were with Kevin at the center of the zone as well. So what did you see from their defense tonight, Frankie? Because again, it was quite the mixed bag.
Man, they were definitely covering a lot for their guards for the backcourt. The backcourt where it was not doing their job defensively. Depending, kind of had to cover for any time Tyler or Terry were on the ball. Terry did a good job fighting, and Tyler tries his best, but he's just, physically he's like 190 pounds, and when Kyle Kuzma's getting the switch on you and he's got 60 pounds on you, you can only do so much. It's not really his fault, but they were definitely trying to get some consistency there, but there was, some bad habits still showing, some inconsistencies. I feel like their communication's been down, been pretty poor, because you see a lot of 2 guys flying to the rotation instead of the correct guy, and then the weak side guy, which obviously flows. 2 guys jump to the ball, make 1 extra pass, got a wide open shot. Washington couldn't make them pay. Jordan Poole missed a lot of bullshit today.
As Eric Reed said, he keeps shooting and he keeps missing.
Man, they shot 42 threes and made 11. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's like a Heat night.
And like, you take off Corey Kispert, who had like a random scrub heat killer Hall of Fame game today.
Oh yeah, and it's always a wizard. It's fucking Gafford, or who's the other guy that was there a couple years ago? Was it Gafford?
It was Gafford's been there for a minute. Yeah, it might have been him too. But yeah, Kispert's been killing them. But yeah, he was on fire, and The defensively, like you talked about a lot about their fouling and their physicality. Like
Yeah.
you can definitely feel that, and it's also a factor that they don't have that big power wing. So when Bam is switching onto the guard on the weak side, you only have Jimmy to provide any force, and he's covering for everybody. And you've mentioned a lot
And
about
he's
his
not playing well on
yeah,
defense.
his help hasn't been the same. His disruptiveness hasn't been the same. But I also feel like he's just covering so much. Like when you pair him with another big wing who's on their shit, like PJ, like a J, just somebody who's physical, can guard up a little bit. You know, not somebody that you're throwing on Joel Embiid, but somebody who can guard them for a possession. You're fine. Um, but you got Daniel Gafford doing that and working his way against his will, against any force to stop Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin is like 6'5", 220 pounds. Great. He's a good player, but you can put him against the center enough times. He's gonna lose. He's gonna lose battles like that. And that's where they've messed that big power wing inside on the defensive end. And Highsmith, another guy who's I feel like he's better guarding down than guarding up. He's 6'5". He's 6'5" with super long arms, but he doesn't have that strength and physicality to go up and size up and really disrupt things inside.
Garrison Matthews was the random scrub Washington player I was thinking about.
Yes.
Yeah, who's now an Atlanta Hawk. Yeah, their help has been just so not forceful, and I think that you're absolutely right that their wings are responsible for that because they're the guys who are supposed to be physical, and kind of give that help backline because you have Bam kind of out in front of the play, and that was something that Crowder was so good at. PJ was so good at, and last year, Jimmy really took that role as that power wing on defense for them, and they just haven't, they just have not had that bite out of him. And I think one thing they do miss from Kyle is that kind of physicality as a helper, as a low man, the guy who rotates, the guy who's always going to get a hand in the play, stuff like that. And that's just not what you're getting out of their guards now. They're just more finesse guards and stuff like that. So hopefully those guys can help provide some more offense, and hopefully Miami can kind of make another move or figure some rotational stuff out on defense. Highsmith hasn't been that kind of helper. And I feel like, and I think you said in our chat, he's been guarding down a lot, not up, which is not the best sign for Miami, which kind of tells me that they're so worried about their point of attack defense from their guards that they're like, Haywood, you have to do this. And I don't really think that's a strength for him. I do think that he guards well, he guards wings really, really well. And that's where he should be.
Yeah, I feel like he's okay on a lot of ones. Like, of course, he's gonna have problems on shiftier ones that everyone has troubles with. So, I'm not worried about like a Kyrie or something. Like, nobody guards Kyrie well. Like, everybody has trouble with guys like that. But like against smart guards that try to use their physicality, their strength, like a Drew Holiday. Like Highsmith is fine against those kind of guys because those guys can body up wings, body up smaller guards. Like he's gonna do his job there. But once you're going against fours and fives, like he's giving up too much height, too much weight, too much strength, and it's not his fault. It's just not a strength of his game. I really feel like they're missing that extra power wing. Chad's mentioning DFS. That's a guy I've been clamoring for. But yeah, not to talk about transactions, but just that's a weakness that they have right now. And I feel like that's why they've gone to the drop with Bam to try to keep him involved in the plays with those.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, because you switch them. You mentioned this. I think you and Bond talked about this a few seasons ago when they started switching Bam and then just moving whoever he's guarding into the weak side away from the play, kind of like the teams used to do with Kawhi. And it was working. And now with the drop, you had him involved in the play. He did a decent job, pretty good job in the drop. But it's just they figure it out. That teams are going to be eventually figure that out, find a new weakness to attack, especially when you're hiding guys on defense so frequently.
Yeah, I guess my problem with them playing so much drop is that he's, I just think you let teams get too comfortable. And I think that one of the strengths that he provides is, I think like, especially in the playoffs, I think in the regular season, it's fine. But in the playoffs, like you need to be able to shut a team's water off. And I don't really think drop does that. I think Milwaukee's drop was special because of the amount, the help that they had. Like Giannis as a helper is just so huge for that equation to work.
You had
And
3 depoy guys on talents on that team.
yeah,
That's what it was. Because
and
Drew
even
going
then,
over. Yeah.
Frankie, they won one. They won one title. They've been to, I think they've been to 2 conference finals in the entirety of that run. And every time that they've lost, it's been because of pull-up shooting, and it's been because of kind of just teams killing their drop
Yeah.
specifically. Like, the Heat have the both times the Heat beat them, they shredded them. The Raptors, that was a unique team too, because Milwaukee gave up like top of the key pull-up shots a lot, and that's like what Fred and Kyle, really made their life on. And that just becomes very difficult. So if you're Miami, switching just provides a bit more airtightness to your defense,
Mhm.
but they have to get back into that. I think the drop is good for regular season stuff.
Yeah.
And I think their zone is good too. And I think that they need to find some identity on defense, Frankie, because and I think tonight's a good example of that. It's like they just don't really have a defensive identity. They're just doing a lot of stuff. And
They're
I'm like,
throwing shit at the wall right now.
they're throwing shit at the wall. And I think that we feel that when rubber hits the road, they're
Mhm.
gonna play switch.
For sure.
They're gonna play Martin, Jimmy, Bam, Hero, and then whoever else is gonna be out there. I do think that playing Rozier makes that complicated,
Yeah.
as opposed to Vincent or Strus or
Yeah.
whoever. So we'll have to see, but
But I mean,
that's kind
even
of where
Tyler, like we talked a little bit about how he was struggling. Like teams have been going at him a lot lately, and he's just physically can't do much. And he's trying his best. Like a lot was made of his improvement off the ball, like making reads and stuff, making those shiny plays, was making great reads. To make steals and deflections and stuff.
Yeah.
But when he's included on the play, he can still get attacked, and that's where he's got to show a little bit more fight, I honestly, I hate this shit, but Tyler's taken 1 charge in his career. Like
Is it that little?
1 charge in his career.
That few, huh?
Yeah, like he doesn't take charges. He's got to put his body on the line a
Bro,
little bit more.
I agree, and that's kind of funny because I think that he's like good rotationally,
Yeah.
So it is funny that
He's gotten better there. He's got a lot better there.
I think that he's like the last 2 seasons he's been like really solid. I just think
Yeah.
his on ball stuff is bad. By the way, shout out to M Hagan 2017. So subscribe to Tier 1. See, they haven't been here in a minute. Welcome back.
Let's go.
Love it. So yeah, so they need to find a little defensive identity. And again, like tonight against Washington, that's just you can't, I guess that they held a bad team, to 102 points.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's okay, but it was a bit more of a it just didn't feel good. And I think we all
didn't.
I think we all walk away from that being like, what they could do, Frankie, is if they win against the Clippers on Sunday, that's a proof something to me kind of game. The Kings is a good win. The Kings might be the best team that they've beaten this year.
That might be true.
That I think that's because they beat Philadelphia without Embiid. I just don't count that. I guess Philly technically would be it, but without Embiid. And last time I checked, the Kings were up. Yeah, the Kings beat the Pacers tonight, which is huge because Miami's trying to get into that 6 seed. So now the Heat are a game back of Indiana. Sacramento is 27-19, and yeah, I think that's the best team that Miami's beaten all year. So shout out to the Heat getting their signature win, quote unquote. But you beat the Clippers, man. That's a signature win on your home floor that the spirits have been exercised. And Jimmy versus Kawhi. Jimmy looks like he has some pulse. He has some life. What did he finish with tonight? He was really, really good.
Jimmy had 24, 9, 3, and 1.
And a steal. 70%
7
shooting. And that's what matters, bro. The finishing, the 7 of 10. That's what I want. Got to the line 13 goddamn times.
Yeah.
He's turning it up now. I'm glad. Listen, I do want to see more from him defensively. That is probably, I want to see that get into form. I'm sorry for doubting you, Mr. Butler. I had my questions. Still the finishing's not very good. Well, hopefully, this will all trend upwards. The shooting has been good. Chat's correcting me. White Hot Hero says half a game back from NDG. Excuse me, the NBA app did not update the standings, so thank you for that correction. So
Let's
yeah,
go.
Miami, and that's big. That's big for a lot of reasons. I think you want to get out of the play-in. These teams are starting to separate themselves now, right? You have like the top teams. Boston has separated themselves, and you have that Milwaukee, New York, Cleveland, a Philadelphia tier that are all within basically a game and a half of each other. And Miami is 11 games, is about 6 games back. From New York at 3 in that pack. So hopefully they can go on a little run here. Obviously New York has been red hot. So has Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland has been fucking scorching. New York and Cleveland are both 9-1 in their last 10.
Shout out to Struce.
shout out to the Strucinator. Shout out to Tiff. And yeah, Miami needs a get right win. Frankie, any closing thoughts here? I mean, listen, we're here on a weekend. We're putting in the work for the people after a second Heat win. By the way, guys, we will be on Sunday for the Clippers, so we're doing both weekend games for y'all. That's a big game, and I wanna be part of that. So hopefully that goes well for us. But yeah, Frankie, any closing thoughts here? I think we kind of covered everything. Their zone, their kind of defensive, kind of stylistic stuff. Anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
I real quick, just I wanted to get your thoughts on the 2-2-1 press. They've been showing it a lot more recently, and it really flows well into their zone. I like it, it's a way to get Terry involved too, because and hide Terry a little bit more, because he physicality, he does have his limitations defensively because of his size, but his wingspan is still there. He still competes. He's pesky, so like he took a charge tonight. I like his effort there, and I like letting him show some defensive playmaking there. And we talk about all the wings they have. I really feel like it gets their activity level going when they get to the half court as well.
I agree, and I'm trying to remember the game that they unveiled that against. Was it? It might have been. It wasn't against the Knicks, was it? Or was it against Phoenix? It was against Phoenix that they started to do.
I think it was Phoenix.
Yeah, they started to do the pressing. And to me, Frankie, that was Eric Spoelstra trying to like get these dudes alive. Because I think that it was what we've kind of been saying. It's like they're not felt. And I think that they had to be felt. And the way that they were going to do that was, okay, guys, we're going to get our fucking steps in, and we are going to do this 2-2-1 press, and we're going to get teams uncomfortable. We're going to get up in you. And I think that I don't normally like that in the regular season, because I think it's just kind of like exhaustive. But I do think this team needed to like get a little bit of dog in them. And I like that they're doing it, because it's, again, they have to be felt. Mm-hmm. And if that's the way you're going to be felt, that's the way you're going to be felt. And I agree that it gets Terry involved. It gives him like a role to do. And I just generally think when teams are hurried, they make bad decisions. I mean, there were a lot of times tonight where like Bam is doing things under duress, and I'm like, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
It's like that moment in Haikyuu where Hinata gives a really nice high pass, and just everyone's like, oh yeah.
Spoilers for the last season.
It's peak fiction. And everyone's like kind of relaxing, and they're like, oh, we can take a breath. Let's move at our pace. We don't have to move at their pace. And I think Miami needs to kind of find a little bit of that, like get teams to play at a pace that they're uncomfortable with, while they play at their own pace on offense. So hopefully they can
the Heat also have to find their own pace, because they've been struggling. Last game, they really pushed the ball, pushed the tempo, a lot of fast break. The last couple games, they had a lot of fast break points. This game, man, there was a play. I don't remember what quarter it was in, but like Caleb is handling the ball. Everyone is standing up. They're running a hero off a screen on the weak side. There's 11 seconds on the clock, and there hasn't been one pass. Everyone's standing around. It was a half-ass screen. It was a half-ass curl around the screen. I'm like, what are we doing? What the fuck is this fucking possession? And there's too many bullshit plays like that. And this was a lot of what we talked about pre-Kyle Lowry. Like they don't have a point guard who can push the tempo and realize, hey, let's get in our sets quick. 18 seconds on the clock. Let's get into our actions. No, way too many times we're letting 12 seconds go by, and now we're starting to run our plays, run our sets, and then it's Bam taking a contested jumper, Tyler taking a contested jumper, Jimmy taking a
Even
contested
when they
jumper against the clock.
run, there was a play where I think it was Tyler and Bam ran a pick and roll, and Bam gets the ball. Hero like swings the ball into Bam in the inside, and Bam catches, makes a move, and he does this jump. He does this jump hook
Mhm.
for in like the middle of the paint, and it was rushed. And I was thinking, I go, I don't like that shot because there's nobody under the rim to offensive rebound. It's 3 Wizards and then just bam. So if that shot misses, you have no chance to get the ball back. At least you can get back in transition. But I'm thinking, I was like, what don't I like about that shot? And I'm like, is it was rushed. He went up rushed, and there was no reason to be rushed. And I think that they need to kind of find a little bit of like, hey, have a little confidence, because I think part of that's confidence too. I think you're
Mhm.
scared that you're going to get blocked. You're scared. Maybe you might be scared that you're going to get fouled. Like you need to have a little bit of patience. And I don't think they have that. And I think that comes with losing. I think that you get antsy when you lose because you're just like, I need to do something now. I cannot. And the
Yeah.
turnovers, I'm sure, weren't helping. So
No, and
hopefully,
struggling to score, so that they're both trying to they both I mean, Bam kind of figured it out, but his jumper hasn't been falling for the month, so he found other ways to contribute offensively. They got him involved in the lob game. We haven't even mentioned that
yeah.
early on. Tyler struggled with the shot, found some other ways to contribute. Terry as well struggled with the shot, but found other ways to contribute. Terry got to the line 11 times. Like, come on, man! It's so nice to have a guard that can do that on a night when they're not shooting the ball well.
With 8 assists, with 5
With 8
assists and 8
assists,
rebounds.
eight rebounds, 5 assists,
Yeah.
like no turnovers too. Like great game. And I feel like they need to give Terry a little bit more of on ball responsibility. Like I'm not saying heliocentric or anything like that. Like he's not in Charlotte, but he finds ways to fit in off the ball just fine. He moves without the ball. He spaces well. His jumper hasn't been falling off the ball, but he's where he should be most of the time.
He's just
And
not a good finisher, and he's never
he's
been a
not.
good finisher.
But it's bringing rim pressure and it's opening things up for offensive rebounding, for lobs for Bam,
Yeah.
because he's being aggressive. And honestly, I think some of it is going to eventually correct itself, because I've never seen somebody miss more in and out layups like Terry Rozier has in these limited sample size. So I think some of this is going to course correct. Goins keeps mentioning that he has the yips, but I think he's just
Brian had
some
the
bad luck.
funniest tweet today. I think Christian went to like some arcade thing,
The
and
Papa shot.
he did like Papa shot, and he had he's like a new high score. And Brian quote tweets it and said Rozier would put a new low score. It's like- that shit killed me, bro. I love
That's
Brian,
so
dude.
good.
I thought the show with Brian and Siobhan on Wednesday was so funny because I can't think of 2 more different people.
Right? It was such a mismatch
I
of
love that though.
personalities.
Two people that just look at life so different, but
I-
yet it's so good. It works. So if you haven't listened to that, I recommend you go back and listen to that because it was just great content.
Yeah, we have Bond in the chat saying, that Tyler could be a more sophisticated lob thrower, and Brian making Papa shot jokes.
Yeah, it's just incredible. So listen, look, all eyes ahead to Sunday against the Clippers. They won the gimme. They got the get right win against Sacramento. They have a murderer's row
Oof,
of opponents coming up.
brutal stretch.
It's pretty intense. So they have the Clippers. As I look on my phone, they have the Clippers on Sunday, Memphis on Wednesday, then Boston, then the Knicks again, then Milwaukee, and then I'm sorry. No, I
Yeah,
read that wrong.
it's
The Clippers,
Orlando.
Orlando, San
Yeah,
Antonio,
Boston,
Boston, and then
Milwaukee, Philly,
Philly.
New Orleans. Like February is just brutal.
I'm so sorry. I was reading my calendar so incorrectly. I'm so tired, chat. I don't know. I may have shared this before, but I started school again, and I'm waking up very, very early to make it to Biscayne Bay campus. And I work a full-time job and I do Heat Beat, and I'm trying to like be healthy and work out every day and play sports and do things. So I'm fucking fried right now, man. Let me tell you something. I'm cooked. My brain's barely here. I don't know how I'm here, but murderers row. Frankie, could you repeat that list so that the audience is not confused after what I did to them?
They got Clippers Sunday, then Orlando, San Antonio, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly.
That stretch is tough. That's before the All-Star break, and then they go on All-Star break, and I believe they come back and play
the Pelicans.
Yeah.
And they come back on a road trip, on a 4-game road trip to the West Coast.
Yeah, fun. I wonder if they all meet in the city or do they come to Miami? Because everybody's gonna be on vacation. Bro, how hard is Jimmy gonna not want to be the replacement All-Star?
He's fighting so hard.
He doesn't want to go to Indiana in February. He's gonna go to fucking Columbia or some shit.
He's sending whoever the coaches are. He's sending them Kristaps Porzingis highlights. He's like, man, this guy's been pretty good for the Celtics.
Did you see that graphic today that was like all like the replacement?
Yes,
I'm gonna put it up because it's so funny. So it's like all the
for the
like
podcast audience, it's showing like all the candidates to replace. I think it was Julius Randle
or Embiid
for injury replacements, and it's showing candidates, and it's showing their stats. It's got like Kristaps Porzingis, his points per game. It's got Trae Young, Jimmy points per game. It's got Jared Allen third in field goal percentage. Derek White 35-10 win-loss. He's on the same team as Kristaps Porzingis. What the fuck?
That's so funny. They're just like this guy wins a lot of games. That's the All-Star case. He's just like he's helping winning.
I mean, I feel like that should make the case for Porzingis. He's got the points and the record.
Jimmy's gonna fucking gas Porzingis up. He does not want to go to Indiana.
He's like, man, Trae's been a fucking stud.
Has Porzingis been an All-Star before?
I'm like 99% sure he was an All-Star with the Knicks at one point.
Kristaps Porzingis.
I mean, after tonight, I'm surprised they're not sending Kispert.
I mean, Kristaps Porzingis is. We'll find out. I'm sure everybody's waiting to know. He is a one-time All-Star in 2018.
Yes, I remember that.
So
yeah, he was pretty good with the Knicks. Remember, he was the next guy.
Unicorn.
The unicorn. Yeah, that guy.
Ed Unicorn. All right, chat. It's been real. I love you guys. I'll see you. Listen, we had a full week of content. Did we do shows every single day? Yeah. Monday, we did the Phoenix post game with Mikey the Cheat. Tuesday, we had Nikias on. Wednesday, Bon and Frankie. Bon and Brian did a show following the Kings win. Mixed Bag was yesterday, and today is Friday, and I'm here. Shout out to Heat Beat. What a full fucking week of work. Or as 5 Reasons calls a Tuesday, because they do like 5 shows a day. Love you guys, and I'll see y'all Sunday.